You're listening to the Two Sophies Baby Mamas, a realistic look into the life of two Welsh mamas, the ups and downs and all the in-betweens. So welcome to the party, bring your friends. Welcome, Emma. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for joining
Very
us.
excited. You're our first guest.
On Zoom.
Brilliant.
On Zoom, yeah, but apart from our partners, but
Yeah.
you are a legit guest,
Yeah.
like
Do you want
professional guest.
to tell
thank
us?
you.
Just getting used to this Zoom stuff. Right. Let's maybe do a little bit of that again, just so we've got it nice and clean.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us.
What are we saying?
I'm going to ask him. I don't want to speak all of it myself, so I just want
Right,
you to
okay.
jump in. But anyway, I can edit all this. Tell us a bit about yourself and why you thought it'd be a good idea for us to get you on the podcast to tell your story.
So my name's Emma. I am a paediatric dietitian at Dietitian with a Difference, and I help parents with fussy eating and food allergy and everything to do with children's nutrition. But I'm not just a health professional, I'm also a mum who has lived through having a preemie baby with loads of reflux, didn't eat anything, and basically had multiple allergies as well. So I try to share lots of practical tips for parents who are also going through the same experience that I went through, but also providing them with support as a paediatric dietitian.
Oh my gosh. So when you had your little baby, were you already qualified in all of this? Or was it something you went on to afterwards?
No, I was qualified, yes, in this area already. Yeah. So I didn't retrain till I was 30. So I used to work in events as an events and marketing kind of manager before I went back to uni at 30. Yes. So I had her at 35. So yes, I was trained, but yes, it was still a big shock to the system.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet. There's just so many children these days with allergies and stuff. You hear about it a lot more now. I don't know if it's been on Instagram, but I hear a lot more now, and it seems so difficult.
Yeah, I was lucky. I think you were lucky. Did Miles have any allergies or anything?
No, but he did have a bit of like reflux, bit of
Yeah,
I don't know. He was just a bit grizzly, like the witching hours, like 7
Yeah.
till 9. It was just like, I did have to change his milk 3 times. Yeah, we went because I was breastfeeding, and then after everything happened, I went from, and then also he was £9.7, so they were like, try a thicker milk, and I was like, so I tried like a
Try
thicker,
weeks a bit.
yeah, try.
He's only 2 weeks old.
Yeah, so I tried like what was it now? Aptamil something. It was just a thicker one, and I was like, well, he's still drinking the same. This is not, it was a comfort milk maybe.
Yes,
He's
yeah,
still
because it's
drinking
slightly
exactly.
hydrolyzed.
Yeah,
So
so he
it's
was doing
broken down, so
exactly
it's
the
easier to
same, and I was
digest.
like, well, why did I change it if he's doing exactly the same? So I went back to Kendamil because that like Kendamil was like so hyped about at the time when I had Miles 2 years ago, and then he was still like, in the night, like he was really, he was going bright red. Then I changed him to Hippoganic then,
We used
and then he
organic
was,
as well.
and he was fine with that. I don't know if it's a bit thinner, it's more, organic, I guess, but he was fine with Hippoganic.
Yeah.
But it
To
could
be
be
honest, they're
anything.
much of a muchness. There's not massive differences
Yeah.
between all of them. But yeah, I think and also remember as well, as your baby gets stronger and their core gets stronger and everything else, and the reflux can improve as well. So
Oh
again,
yeah. I
it
think
can
you
be
just wake
multiple
up one
factors.
day, don't you? That's what I say to people. You just got to ride the wave, because one day you're going through this shit storm, like
Literally.
every night. You're like, what's going on? I was recording him and I was like sending it to like people, like, what is happening? So he was proper, just like every night, and just really stiff. So, and then one day it stops. One day it just like,
Yeah.
you're like, whoa, you just got to ride these waves. Like it gets better with everything, really.
We
Does
didn't
get
have
better,
any.
yeah.
Yeah, we didn't have any allergies, but there was definitely a period of time when I spoke to my health visitor about this, and Jack would crunch up into a ball and he'd be screaming, and it was like his stomach was really, really hurting him, and I just didn't know what was going on. And he had a lot of trapped wind, I think, and we would literally like squeeze him like a whoopee cushion, and he would
like the little bike.
Yeah, you would
the
literally
leg
like
and stuff.
do massive.
Bicycle legs, yeah.
Yeah, but I think it is a minefield. So with what you do, I mean, it must be so helpful to people. And I think, you know, when someone's doing this for the first time, obviously Sophie's now pregnant, doing it for the second time, you'll have so much more knowledge, but the next one might be completely different.
Yeah.
But having someone like you there, just letting you know it's normal, you know, if your baby's going through something, however many percentage of babies probably go through the same thing. So we've got some lovely questions for you, but I think just keeping it simple at the start, and then we'll go on to maybe some more specific ones. If someone has a new baby, what would be your tip for, you know, just coping with the reflux, coping with the crying? How do you kind of navigate that with being a dietitian for a baby?
So I think if you're really worried and your child's got really bad reflux and, you know, things are getting really difficult, do go and speak to your health professional, speak to your health visitor, speak to your GP as well. Don't do it alone as well. And I mean, I was in an amazing NCT group as well that were fantastic, and we message each other back and forth because I know how hard it can be with the reflux. So again, get some support as well, get some help as well, again from like lactation consultants as well if you're breastfeeding, or even, you know, help with, you know, and I don't think you get any support like with bottle feeding or anything else if you can't breastfeed or you choose not to. Like my journey of breastfeeding didn't work at all. And again, like, you know, about feeding positions, there's some brilliant people out there as well. Do get some help and support. Don't just struggle on your own as well. I do remember with the reflux having the pillows that, you know, slightly wedged, kind of keeping them upright as well, like half an hour after feeding and things like that can help as well. But
There's
yeah,
so
do
much to
definitely
try. I remember, like, I had to feed Miles sitting up. I think you try loads of things, and then keep him up, and then he was sleeping in the night with a bit of a tilt. You just try everything. There's like something different you try every day, innit?
And then it's hard, I think, to know which one works, because you've probably, if you try 5 things on one day, how do you know which one of those works? It's the same with if you were trying to find an allergy for yourself or you're doing a food diary. You have to be so, like, do the same for a week, change one thing. If you change 2, you're never going to know.
Yeah,
and
it's
baby
really hard.
Gaviscon as well. Oh God, the
baby Gaviscon was a nightmare for me. It made Jack so constipated.
Yeah,
you
can do,
yeah, that's what they said. But I think Miles was fine, but I only used it in the night.
We used it very sparingly because they told us about constipation, but then the constipation actually became worse of a problem than his reflux. And I was like, it's like the lesser of 2 evils, because he would be, honestly, it's horrible, but seeing him try and poo, I was like undoing his nappy and trying to help him, and you could see it like coming out, and it was really hard. And I was like, oh no, his little body is just too much.
Yeah, Gaviscon can really do that. It can really make them constipated as well. So yeah, no, it can be really, really hard to manage as well.
You just try whatever, I don't know, because there was a gripe water as well. Someone said to try. So
there's no evidence for that one, but yeah, I agree. There's so many things out there: Infocol, gripe water, loads of things.
I had all the gear. Like I was on Amazon every day. Like, what is that? You know? Like we did try it all, but then eventually you try it all, and then all these weeks go by, and you're like, you threw it anyway.
I know.
Because I think we were doing the Gaviscon, and then all of a sudden it all just stopped, and then I was like, oh, it's not, you know, crunching up anymore, you know.
And as they get bigger and stronger as well, you know, things do tend to improve. But if they don't improve and things are getting worse, you know, like with my little girl, basically she ended up in hospital and she refused to feed completely. And then that's when we were diagnosed with a cow's milk allergy. But her reflux was awful, you know, she was vomiting a lot, but there were other symptoms as well, like the constipation. She was really constipated. She was just crying like non-stop and like scrunching her legs up and just really, but again, when you're first time mum as well, like even as a health professional, you feel like sometimes you're quite dismissed, and it's like, oh, you're just a first time mum, you don't really know. And you know, like you get a lot of, I feel like there's a lot of that out there. Oh, you're just a first time mum, you know, it's just what happens. But I think sometimes you put up with a lot more, I think sometimes, don't you? Whereas I imagine second time round, if anything happens, or you'll be much more on it, and you'll be like, no, this is normal, this is fine. I know what I'm expecting. And if it's not normal, you're going to be, you know, more seeking help as well. So I definitely felt that as first time I was like, oh no, I don't want to pester anyone, I don't want to annoy anyone, I'm sure she's fine, I'm sure this is normal. So it can be really, really hard.
I think, and keeping on the milk side of things, because obviously we've now got toddlers, so it's like a whole new set of challenges, but we've got plenty of questions and we need your tips and advice for that. But I think one of the big questions, and Charlie, Sophie's partner, actually just brought this one up, and it's a really good one, and to kind of calm all new mothers down. Breast milk, is it obviously is best, I suppose, but if you can't and you're giving yourself a hard time, like breast is best, but is formula still really good for the baby? Like what's the science telling us, kind of thing?
So obviously, yeah, breast milk is best in terms of it giving you all the, immunity and everything else. And obviously, if you can breastfeed, then brilliant. But if you can't, we always say fed is best. So the formula's still absolutely fine. You're still feeding. Like my journey with breastfeeding didn't work at all. Like we tried 10 days. Like my child was born prematurely. I had to feed her from the moment she was born. She was fed formula because her blood sugars were so low that she had to be fed. That you couldn't wait for your milk, and it was all just, we had a really stressful time. So my father-in-law was also in hospital as well, so in intensive care. It was all really stressful, so the whole breastfeeding thing just didn't work out for me, and I remember really beating myself up.
Yeah, it does. I feel like it really does, because we both tried it, didn't we? How long did you do it for?
I did about 5 months.
That was good.
Yeah, like, but it was 3 months consistently, but I did express, so we was having breast milk from bottles from like week 2, actually maybe earlier than that, because my boobs felt like they were going to explode. But then we did combi from about 3 months.
Yeah, I think I done combi quite soon because he was so big.
Yeah,
I was just like, I can't. And my boobs never felt like they were going to pop. Like I didn't feel like I had enough for him because he was 9.7 pounds. I feel like he just started off and just wanted like a 10-course meal. Like, cause he was just so
Mine
big.
was the opposite. Mine had no interest in feeding at all. Mine was £4.15 and had absolutely no interest in. And we've had this like timing to try and keep her weight up. So it was all really, really stressful. And I think we do. I mean, I know I really beat myself about not being it, because as a health professional, like, oh, breast milk's better and all of that stuff. So it really is something you want to do. And then when it doesn't work out, I think there's a lot of guilt and a lot of things out there that you feel like, oh, you didn't manage to do it and stuff. But I think just to remember that fed is best, and whatever works best for you and your family, do what's best for you. And again, for like mental health as well, as a mum, if you're not coping and things are getting really hard, then, and your partner can then feed your baby for you, or you can do some combi feed, then that's absolutely fine as well.
Oh my gosh, so, I remember, I think it was like night 4 or 5, and I was like, oh, this is going quite well. Like the breast, I was obviously exhausted, and I'd had a C-section, so like there was a lot of elements I was battling against. But it was night 5, and Jack had fed on me all day and all night, and it was about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I just like broke down. I was like, yeah, I need you to help me. I need you to do something. Go and get a bottle. So I was like pumping into a bottle. I was like, I just need an hour where I can have a little breather.
Yeah.
And then you feel like you failed a little bit, because you think, years ago there wouldn't have been the option to have formula. You think, oh, as a woman, am I failing? And then I could hear him feeding Jack, and Jack was like, it sounded like he was struggling because I'd accidentally given him like too fast of a teat. So he was like getting all this milk really quickly. So then I was crying about that, thinking I failed again. I bought the wrong bottles. So like your brain is so like mashed potato at that point.
Yes.
Yeah. Everything. It just seems like the worst thing in the world.
You just sent home with the baby, and like you didn't like, I remember sitting on the edge of the bed, like, so the first night we were home, we were like, so what do we do? So what time do you go to bed? We would go to bed with him.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, how do you, what was it?
And your adrenaline's through the roof as well. Like your primal instinct. I don't know if you had this, but I used to be in the shower and I'd hear like fake phantom crying.
Oh yes, all the time. Fake crying constantly.
So weird. Your body's just like on high alert, just waiting for that predator to come.
It's just literally mad, isn't it?
It is. Anyway, yeah, breast milk is good, but formula is also good. That's great.
Yes. Fed is best is my view.
Fed is best. Love that. Sophie becoming a mother for the second time, if you could have asked the question to Emma, knowing what not knowing what you know now, and Miles is on the way, like what question would you have asked?
Oh. I wish I knew more about breastfeeding, I think, just because I didn't even think about it with the whole thing, like giving birth and everything. You done all your research, I just was like, they're like, what do you want to do with birth plan? I was like, I don't know, I just turned up. I was so different to Sophie. I just turned up, and then And then obviously I had him, and then they put him on me. They were like, come on, let's try breastfeeding. And then so I was breastfeeding all night, felt like. And then I went home then, and then had blooming blisters all over my nips. So I wish I prepped more, maybe. Like, what would you say?
Because I did have a breastfeeding expert, lactation expert.
I should have done that.
We had a little Zoom meeting, and it was very, very helpful, even in terms of knowing what bottles to buy. So we did the Lancino bottles. So she said they were the best at the time in terms of mimicking a breast and like things like that.
Yeah.
And she gave me loads. She literally was like showing me how to express colostrum. So I expressed colostrum.
Yeah,
for, like,
I need to
weeks
learn how to do
beforehand.
that.
I had about 100 syringes. I'll come up and do a few.
I did have someone milking me the night I did give birth to Miles. I was like, is this what you normally do? But I think I would like to, because it's good to like start it off, and because I didn't have nothing. I was breastfeeding, and because he was so big, he would be on me for hours and hours and hours. And I was like, and then I would pump again, then 4 ounces. He would take that straight away. And I was like, no, oh no, I gotta put him back on.
I know.
It was just like a
That
constant.
first latch. Oof.
And I think you have to just do what's best for you as well. And with the colostrum collecting, you can't do it until they're full term. So I think it's like 37 weeks you can't start.
Yeah.
So like
All right,
mine
okay.
was born at 36. So again, like something like that, you couldn't have.
Yeah, so I was just taken
done that,
away
you couldn't
from you.
have prepared for that.
Yeah, I guess I was just different, because I just turned up, and I didn't do any research. I just like to just be like, just go with the flow, whatever happens. And to be fair, it did go really well for me. Like, but my breastfeeding didn't. But I think that was like tongue tie, and because he was, and I mean, because he was so big, but he was just, and I'm also a person. I remember going to see the tongue tie specialist, and she was like, you just need a day in bed with him, just you and him all day breastfeeding. And I was like, that's not me. I don't lay in bed. I can't just be lying in bed all day. Like, I was out Cardiff shopping like 5 days later. I like to be up and out. I don't like, I'm a house person. And I know,
I'm the same. I'm not good at sitting still or not doing anything.
I never
failed miserably on that.
Yeah, so I was just like, no, to be honest, it's not for me. Like, I don't know. I was just like, no, I'll just do.
Doesn't matter though. Whatever works best for you and your family as well, and your situation. So and if you want to try again this time, then like you said, lactation consultant might be good. But I didn't have a lactation consultant either. And again, I kind of almost, maybe that would have helped. But again, our situation was so complicated at the time, and there was so much going on, other stuff going on. That I think, probably just
do what you got to do.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was having people coming up, and I had the rugby ball method thing, they were like, yeah, you're doing good. Every other day someone was coming up. But I was just like, it is killing me though.
Yeah.
I was just like, my toes, and I'd be screaming to Charlie, come and get him. Like, it was just agony. And I was messaging people on Instagram, like, how are you doing this? Have you got some kind of metal nipple or something? Because they're like, oh yeah, I'm fine. I'm like, but how? Like, I was sending people. I was just sending. She was like, yeah, I'm all good. I was just sending people pictures of my nipples with these tiny, tiny blisters all over my nipple.
Oh, I know.
And I was just like, well, I don't think my nipples can cope. But I'm gonna like. I didn't think about it this time. But then, as you said, your boobs are already gone through it once, so let's have a go again. See what happens. I might have, well, mine was really tongue tied. So it's that.
So again, that can affect feeding as well.
Yeah, because he couldn't lift his tongue to
Yeah, then that's why you can often get really
tied. So then that was 3 weeks I didn't have that sorted for. So, and 3 weeks is a long time for you. I could have had, my milk would have come in much better. I think if
staying with milk. I think now we've got toddlers. Like, my little boy is 17 months, and Miles was 2 in February. So was he now 20?
Yeah, he's 20. What is he? 28 months now. About 28. Yeah, and Miles is a milk lover. I call him Milky Miles because he just loves milk. He really loves milk. He lasts for a glass of milk over anything. And I'm like,
and we still give Jack a bottle before bed. He doesn't always want it, but some nights he does ask for it. And I just want to check that it's normal to still be having milk. It's probably more from a comfort perspective, or is it doing them any harm? We make sure he brushes teeth all the time, but what's the recommendations on milk?
I mean, so in terms of milk, it's absolutely fine for them to have milk, and again, milk provides lots of nutrients like iodine, calcium, B vitamins, all, and vitamin A as well. So again, it's a really good nutritional, thing. There's nothing wrong with them having milk before bed, especially at that young age as well. The only thing you don't want to do with milk is, again, after one, we sort of say you don't want to give them much more than like 400 mils, and then sort of slowly taking it down to 300 mils. The only thing that I see as a dietitian sometimes is that, especially with toddlers, and when you're hitting that kind of fussy eating stage as well, sometimes I see parents where they're just giving them milk continuously throughout the day. And then what happens, if you think of their little tummies is only about the size of their fist, basically, you keep topping them up with that little bit of milk, it takes away all their appetite. And then what can happen is, often we find when they've had too much milk, they end up constipated, or they also end up iron deficient as well, because they're not then getting enough iron in their diet through the day. So that's the only reason we say not too much milk. But if you're just giving him some milk before bed, absolutely fine.
Oh, good. Yeah, no, he's kind of natural, which I was quite shocked. He's quite naturally come away from it. He's a big grubber, is Jack. Like the plate of food he had last night, I plated it all up and I thought, that's such a big plate. I don't think he's going to even touch all that, which I wasn't expecting him to. And he ate it all. And I was like, oh my God, he's such a big eater. Obviously, my husband's a big bloke, and all the men in his family are big, and the men in my family are quite big. So maybe he's going to be a big kid, but eats very well. So as long as the milk is, not doing him any harm, we'll just keep it in there.
Fine. Keep giving it to him if he wants it. That's fine.
And he always finishes every single bottle every night. But he did have 2 plates of spag bol last night, and then he just loves milk.
Yeah,
like he goes hot bottle, he grabs his bottle, goes upstairs.
Jack goes vodka. It's so cute. But some nights he'll have 50 ml, some nights he'll have 300 ml. It's not that he will not eat his dinner and then have it. So I just wanted to clear that up, because I remember my health was saying just like weaken it with water or something, or
No, you don't need to if he's only having that amount and it's not affecting his appetite. And again, they're quite what we call intuitive eaters at this age, so they tend to eat based on what they need in terms of their calories and requirements and everything else. Whenever I do a dietary assessment with a client, I'm always amazed by how accurate like the calories that they're actually eating versus what their kind of like requirements are as well. They haven't been affected by all our emotional eating and dieting and all of those kind of negative impacts on their eating. They have very much and again, you can also look at eating over a week as well, so don't necessarily focus on one meal, focusing on it like over the 7 days as well.
Definitely, when Jack's first started eating, there'd be days where he wouldn't have very much. I'm like, oh my goodness, what? And then I remember the health visitor saying, think about it as a week, because then I would have a day and he would eat me out of house and home. It was very
that was the same on all days this week, because we found that one day he wasn't barely eating anything. And then the next day he was having, because we were all inclusive, we went to Mallorca last week, but he was eating so much one day and then not much the next. And we were like, what's going on? But he's definitely gone fussier, because we used to eat loads, and I'd put it on Instagram and people were like, I can't believe he's such a good eater. But now, I think I give him like toast one, he was like, oh, yucky.
Oh no.
He's like looking at things and going, oh, yucky.
But that's
gone fussier.
That's normal at that age, because he's around the sort of 2. So what they do at around that sort of age is they go through something called the neophobic stage, which is like a fear of new foods, and it basically goes back to our ancestors. So when children started to get more mobile, they could pick up like poisonous foods and poisonous berries and all of that sort of thing. So it's like an inbuilt thing to protect them. So and again, I know it doesn't help for today, but it is a kind of thing to stop them being able to eat all these kind of potentially poisonous things. So they get this slight fear of new food.
Yeah, that's how I show him different food. He goes, oh, yucky. And it's mad how different they are each week, because one day he'll have raspberries all week, and then the next week he's like, oh, yucky. And then he'll love bananas for a week. So I'm buying all this fruit, and then he'll love it one week, so you buy more of it the week after, and then he's not eating it. I'm like, they just play you this the 2-ish age. I'm like, you ate loads of that last week, so are you don't want it this? Oh, I don't know.
That's like food jagging, so we call that like when they get bored of eating the same food over and over again. So as much as you can, try and rotate. So even when they're obsessing about one particular fruit, try not to give it to them over and over again. Because it's a bit like you. If you had pasta every night, for example, you'd be like, oh my God, I'm so bored of pasta, I'm going to eat it again. So try as much as you can to rotate, so they don't always have that same. And then you'll help prevent the food jagging
Yeah,
as much.
right.
Oh, that's good. Because Jeff, Jack definitely went through a blueberry phase, and now he's in his strawberries era. But yeah, and he's like, no, I'm not bothered about blueberries. But then as I say, it'll be raspberries the next week. But I do try and mix it up. I do a bit of batch cooking, but I do try and feed him different stuff every day. But he does have his favourites, and he has like.
Well, Miles would live off beans at the minute. He just loves
like
beans.
but not major.
Like, oh, if he didn't want, if I put like 3 different meals in front of him, like just buying beans, just have the beans for now.
Yeah.
I'm just like that sometimes.
I think as long as you're providing food, like one preferred option, again, it's important. Like, again, we talk about division of responsibility, but as a parent, you're responsible for providing the food, and they're responsible for what and how much they eat it.
Yeah.
And as long as with a child that's particularly fussy or something, as long as you're providing like some kind of preferred option of food that you know they've got the skill and they can eat, then putting some other foods on there is absolutely fine as well. You just never want to give them a food that you know they can't eat, they don't like, and they've never eaten before.
Yeah. Jack's really. I'm amazed because I was a very fussy eater, and I think my mother would have really appreciated having someone like you around back in the day because I was beige. I remember just eating chips. Like I remember my mother saying something to me, which whether this was probably wrong and you wouldn't probably condone this, but I remember her saying to me, I was about 7 or 8. She said, if you don't eat any vegetables, all of your bones are going to go really frail and you're going to be really weak. And I remember being like, oh my gosh, I don't want to be like that. So I'd go, okay. And I'd have peas and I would take them like tablets because I was like, I just need to get something green in my body. And for a long time, I had to do that. And my body would gag. Like I'd put like mashed carrots.
You didn't like veg for ages.
It took me a long time. I really worked it because I want to be healthy, and I would mash it up in my mouth, and I'd be like, it'd be like a bush ticket trial for me.
Texture. Yeah. So you were struggling with textures. Yeah, you were.
I'm still a bit funny. Some
children are.
I think I've still got I don't want to call it an eating disorder. There's probably a better term for it, but it's something where I can be eating something that I really love. Like I love prawns, I love tomatoes, and egg is another one that it happens with. If I'm eating it and I eat too much of it, all of a sudden it'll make me feel so ill. And I'll be like, I really can't even look at that. It's so weird. And I'd be like,
so I'd say that's more sensory. Yeah. So it's like the textures or something's triggering. So
and I just
processing.
I've gone really fussy since being pregnant with meat and stuff.
Have you?
I feel like I'm just eating pasta, fruit, but I'm really laid off. I don't really eat much meat anymore.
That's funny.
I'm just like, oh, I don't know.
But that's your body's just like your hormones are going up, down, left, right. So it's just pulling you in every direction.
Just make sure you're getting enough iron. So make sure you're on a good like multi, pregnancy vitamin every day. That's
I was anemic during my pregnancy, so I had to take I was taking Spartan. Oh my god, it's disgusting.
How do you know if you
they do blood tests? You should be on blood tests.
Yeah, so I feel like I haven't seen them for ages because you have your scan at 20, don't you? You have your bloods first when you first go at 12 weeks.
Yeah.
I haven't had any since.
Probably do some of you.
I might get an appointment today, but I think they just I don't know what they do today. Maybe blood pressure. 28, 20, what am I now? 25.
Yeah.
I don't think it's yet.
I mean, if anemic would be like obviously because you're pregnant anyway, it's always hard to tell, but you're really tired and things, like those kind of symptoms and feeling sort of really low in energy.
To be honest. Been feeling really
you're probably fine as long as you're taking a good,
I had low blood
and make sure you're getting on.
When I had my iron, she was like, that's the best I've seen. I was like, wow, great.
Oh, that's good.
But my iron's good. I was like, no one's ever told me my iron's good before.
Just good, didn't we?
I was like,
you're probably fine then.
I've got a couple of other questions for you now that I think as a toddler parent is really good to know, because I was absolutely freaked out by one of my health visitors with the salt thing with babies. So I remember her saying, you don't want a trip to A&E if you overdose your baby on salt. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I was frantic with salt for a really, really long time. And obviously then when they turn 1, it's not quite as strict. Yes. But I will give a lot of my own food to Jack, and obviously I do season my own food. How much should I be monitoring? How much should we be monitoring salt and sugar in terms of food for the babies?
So, in terms of salt, I would try not to add salt especially to their food or anything they're going to eat, because there's a lot in salt in food already. So like if you think of like bread, a lot of processed food already has a lot of
Oh
salt
yeah,
in
no,
it.
this is like all fresh. Like if I boil some peas, I
Yeah.
sprinkle a little bit of salt in the boiled peas. Like would you say to not do that at all?
Personally, I probably wouldn't if it was going to go to a child. You don't need to. But again, if it's an odd thing, it's not going to be the end of the world either. But yeah, I wouldn't
Mm.
add extra salt to things if I was
I
giving it
never use
to a
salt,
child,
well, actually, I don't cook, to be honest, anyway, but I never really adds.
because they will get more than enough salt. Like of all the children I see, again, when we do like dietary assessment stuff, sodium's normally quite high because it's in a lot of it, a
Mm.
lot of food's got added salt in it already. So I probably wouldn't be adding extra salt to things like peas. But if you want, a bit of salt on your food afterwards, just add it
After.
yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the thing, you want to make like I'm vegetarian, so I cook different food for my husband Jack anyway. So to then add another potential dish where I'm creating something without salt, so I need to figure out how to make my life a bit easier, I think then.
Or like even if you're using like low sodium or those salt free, like stocks and things like that, again, they
Yeah.
can work quite well.
Yeah.
But again, like if he's just eating a little bit of your meal, and because again, if he's in that stage, and again with the toddlers, they like to eat off your plate because
Mm.
again, it's that neophobic stage, so they like to know that the food's safe. So let him eat off your plate. So if he's just eating a little bit off your plate and it's got a bit of salt in it, then that's fine. But yeah, I
Yeah.
wouldn't be adding extra salt to
Yeah.
other foods as well.
And same thing with sugar. I've seen something on Instagram or TikTok before, and it was quite helpful. If you were to pick up something and it shows you the grams of sugar, and then you work out the 100%, and you can literally think that say the 7 grams, that's 7%, 7 grams per 100 grams, that's 7% of whatever you're giving them is pure sugar. Like which is worse, salt or sugar, or they're both bad?
I don't really like to label food as like worse or not worse, but
Huh.
I mean, the thing with sugar is like, again, there's lots of sugar in food as well, like naturally, like our brain only functions on glucose, so that and that's why children prefer like a beige carbohydrate because they need carbohydrates. And like, if you look at things like milk, it's got lactose in, which isn't a sugar. Like things are like fruit has sugar in it, like, but
Yeah.
it's also got fiber and it's got vitamins and it's got
Yeah.
minerals. So again, I wouldn't get really obsessional. I mean, obviously, like if you were looking at like a can of Coke or something like that, then yeah, you wouldn't want your child to be having that because it's
Yeah.
got like,
Oh,
teaspoons and 8 or 9 teaspoons of sugar in. Like
Jack loves a
added
can of
sugar
Coke.
is added sugar or things like that are kind of more where I would look at in terms of extra sugar.
Mm.
Um, but sugar that's naturally in food, I wouldn't
Yeah.
tend to worry
What
about. It's more.
What about things like, I haven't bought these yet, but like my side, I was brought up very freely, I could eat whatever I wanted, and maybe that's why I was so fussy, I don't know. But I don't buy like the little petit falou yogurts or anything, again, because my health is like they're full of sugar, so don't buy them. Are they terrible? Like, or
We
how can
have
they
got
sell them for kids if they're that? I don't understand how they can put them out there if they're that bad for kids.
Yeah, well, food manufacturers are quite good at, marketing to children and knowing what children like. And again, remember as we have a natural preference towards sweet food anyway, especially as a child, because like breast milk's sweet as well.
Oh
So
yes.
again, yeah, I would avoid things like that. I would go, and again, it's cheaper to buy like natural like yogurt, like Greek yogurt or something, plain yogurt, and then add fruit to it, because then you're getting the fiber from the fruit as well, and it's
Mm.
already naturally sweet from the sugar. So yeah, I would avoid. They do have a lot of added sugar put in them as well, in those kind of petit bleu yogurts. But again, if it's an occasional thing and you're out and about, then again, I'm also don't like to be one of those kind of food police people where it's like your child
yeah.
could never have this, because again,
Mm.
and also every child's different. If you've got a really restricted eater, like some of the children I deal with, maybe that's the only way that they'll eat a yogurt and they're getting some calcium and iodine from it. So again, it doesn't have to be really, really negative kind of thing. I really hate this whole like, this is really bad and that's really bad, because I think sometimes the whole relationship with food then becomes
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
negative. It depends where your
Sometimes
child
I buy
is as
them,
well.
and I feel like there's only one like spoonful in a tiny patty thing. I'm like, it's only one, and he doesn't even finish it anyway. So I'm like,
Mm.
he just has it with his
That's the thing.
fridge.
Like Jack's loving a baby bell at the moment. I just think if he has one every couple of days, like I don't know if they're good or bad. I know you
I
said
mean,
that, but
again, They've obviously, I mean, like cheese does have high salt in it because again, it is cheese, and that's kind of how it's, processed. But again, if it has a baby bell, then again, that's fine because again, it's providing calcium. It's still cheese. It's not got added
Yeah.
lots of added things to it. So it's providing calcium for him.
Mm.
So again, it's and you want them to be having, either 3 portions of dairy or non-dairy alternatives each day anyway to get their calcium requirements and to get the iodine they need and the
Mm.
vitamin A and things like that. So I wouldn't necessarily think of it in a kind of, it's all about balance, really. It's kind of how I like to,
Yeah.
think
I
about
mean, if
stuff
he's having a
and like
pack of
really
baby bell a
pushing
day, then, but he's only having one. So like, you enjoy it, hen. We love it. I love a baby bell.
Yeah, I know. I just think sometimes just an easy little snack for him if he's not ready for dinner
it.
or we're out and about, it's just really easy to have there.
Yeah,
But
and again, with snacks, you want to think of them as like little mini meals. So you want some kind of like protein, some fat, and then some like kind of carbohydrate, and then some fruit or vegetable option. You want them to be like to get all of those vitamins and minerals in as well. So yeah, a baby bell, with a bit of a cracker or something else, and a bit of fruit would be absolutely fine as a snack.
good, good.
Love it. I love a little snack box.
I know, I do like doing it with snack plate. Anything you want to ask? So I got a couple more questions, but I don't want to do all the bloody talk again.
No, what else were we going to talk about? It was milk the main thing for me because I was just like, oh,
Yeah, he does have milk. I can bring us back to something I mentioned on one of the first episodes we did. It was one of my dilemmas of the week where Jack, he's not quite as bad now, but it still does happen. He loves to launch food. But to be fair, he loves to launch anything. He is a very active kid, ball mad, like throwing everything. So, he'll eat the majority of his food, and then the last couple of bits, it's like just throw in. How do I? And then I say no, and he finds that hysterical. So I just have to
I feel like
stop.
they all do. I don't know any children that don't throw food.
Oh, I know.
Like it's
So the
all
reason
over
he's
his face.
throwing food is because he's had enough and he's finished. That means he doesn't want any more, basically. But one thing I say to people as well is, again, if you've got to the point where your child's still on a high chair, is getting them away from a high chair and into like onto the table, but still in their chair. You still want them sitting at like the 90-90 angle. You don't want them sitting in a big adult chair at this age. But the reason why is that it allows them, instead of throwing when they're up in a chair and they've only got a little tray and they can't push that food away because they don't want it anymore. If you're at a big table, they can then push the food away rather than sort of
Okay.
launching it as well. So it's good to get them to the table, get the tray away at that stage, and get them either in the high chair underneath the table, or if not, one of those. And again, it doesn't have to be like a trick track chair, but I've got a cheap alternative type trick track chair. But they can be really good at just making sure they're still in the right postural position, because it's really important, because a lot of parents move them from high chairs then into like an adult chair sitting at a table or a bar stool, and then their feet are dangling. And if you've ever sat at a bar stool and tried to eat, if you lift your feet up, you use a lot of your core, and that can make eating really difficult for children. So again, we want them to be in the right position, but yes, try get rid of the tray, get them a table so then they can push the food away as well.
Okay, that's good. That's very good.
That is
I mean, we do have, I would say, 5 out of 7 days of the week out dinner all around the table, but we do like turn around and he still has his tray on, but we can't take that off, pull him in. So maybe we'll try that. Definitely we'll try that. And I think another thing I wanted to ask was, Jack's pretty good with his fork and his spoon and stuff, but I still don't really love, like if I do a spaghetti bolognese or something that's very saucy, I do really struggle with the mess and like it being everywhere.
I love
How
it.
do I get over that?
You just need to embrace it, because unfortunately, like there's actually like 32 steps to eating, and like it's not just like putting it in your mouth. And part of those steps are like, first steps like visually looking at it, smelling it, touching it. So we eat through touch. So that's how we learn about textures, and that getting that mess all over it is part of the learning process.
I
As he
just
gets
remember
older, that will
having an
change.
orange face, and it was just orange, and it was all up in his
Yeah.
hair, and I was just like, "You do you." But then I have got loads of marks all over the walls now. You know, like on behind the table, there's like Cocoa Pops, there's like orange, there is food stuck to my wall still, but it'll only happen again in a couple of months.
Yeah, will do. Yeah, unfortunately, it's part of the process, and it's really good for them to learn about food. But I fully also get where you're coming from. And as he gets a bit older as well, he will do that less.
He definitely
But any
will
new
stop.
food, They want to pull apart and touch and learn. And it's the same with you, you know, if you're given a completely new food, you often want to look at it, touch it, like smell it. You don't necessarily just put it straight in your mouth. So again, for them, that's part of
Yeah.
the process.
Yeah, and
Oh,
Maz
sorry.
haven't done that for a long time now. They just so you might find in the next few months you won't even bother. You'll just
Yeah,
wake up one day and then they won't even.
yeah.
You'll be with his
I
knife
think
and fork.
you're very much in that young, you know, you're still really young. And I think like once they hit 2 and stuff, it will start to get better.
Yeah, luckily Jack hasn't been too fussy at all, really. He didn't like avocado for a while, but then he did eat a little bit yesterday. He hated avocado for quite a long time, but now he's like, it would make him literally like turn inside out. But now he's back on board. But I've just remembered actually, he did have an egg allergy originally. And the reason we thought is when we were starting to introduce foods, like, oh well, I don't know how old he was, maybe 6 months or whatever the age was they say to introduce egg. I can't exactly remember. We gave him a couple of mouthfuls. We were out having breakfast. He had some scrambled egg, and we were like, "Oh, he loves that. He loves that." And then we looked down about a minute later, and he had all these red circles all over his face and neck. And I was like, "Oh!" So I googled egg allergy. That was what came up. That picture.
Yeah.
Like, oh bloody hell, he's got an egg allergy, and he's over it now. He's come out the other end, but he loves
Yeah,
it.
my little girl was the same. She had milk was far worse. Egg, she had an egg allergy, and we only noticed it, like you said, when
Oh,
she was weaning, when it took a while. We did like the egg ladder and everything, but
yeah.
it did take a
Yeah.
while. But it was quicker than milk. Milk took us to get to the top of the milk ladder, it took us to like 3.5. So
Oh wow.
yeah.
Why do some children have allergies and some don't? Like, how does that even happen?
It's so common these days.
It's not, I think it's more you find out about it more. I think there is more prevalence of it, but actually, in terms of cow's milk allergy and stuff, it's only like 2 to 7%. I think we just hear a lot more
Yeah.
about it because of Instagram and everything else.
Yeah.
But it is on the rise as well, and I think there is more awareness as well about allergies as well.
And it's like with eczema as well, like that like I follow someone and she just talks about food and eczema and the way she's completely cleared up your son's eczema with the food he eats.
Oh, what does he eat then?
It was just like, oh, she put a big list on that she changed
Jack does
every
have a little
milk.
bit.
And then I'll have to send her a page, Lucy Flanagan or something. She's got a podcast as well, but she just completely was making everything fresh and it wasn't, I didn't have like certain things in it.
The
but
only
it's
thing I
really
would The only thing I would say with eczema, it's often not linked to food allergies
Oh,
as well. So there's yeah, no, it's often not linked as well. So again, you do get some people that do then cut out loads and loads of
Yeah.
different foods as well. And then you get the problem that your child then becomes quite restrictive
Yeah,
in
that's
terms
true.
of what they're eating and all the nutrients they need as well. So I'd always be cautious and speak to your health professional
Yes.
dietitian before
Yeah.
you started just cutting out big groups of child's diet, because again, eczema can often not be linked to
Yeah.
food allergies as well, and it can often be genetic, environmental, you know, there's so many
Yeah.
other factors with eczema as well.
I do have one more thing I just thought about, because I often will make like protein oats or something like that in the house, and Jack, as you say, will come up to my plate and want some. Giving him a little bit of that with my whey protein in, is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, as long as you're not giving him a massive bowl of, he won't need that much protein. They only need about 14 grams of protein at his age. And in the UK, I'm yet really to see a child that is actually not, parents worry about protein intake, but it's very, very rare to see a child that isn't getting more than enough protein as well. But yeah,
Give him all your protein porridge.
but if he wants to eat off your plate, then like let him, because again, that's part of the whole neophobic stage. It's something you're eating. So again, that's absolutely fine.
And he likes a bit of spice. He does. Fair play. I love spice, right? Oh my God. If I haven't got a bit of spice on my meal, I feel like it's bland. So I'm addicted. And he'll be like, oh, I like it.
That's fine. He can have spicy food. That's absolutely fine if he likes it. Again, it's strong flavour. And again, if you're not going to be using salt, then again, using any kind of herbs, things like that, smoked paprika, things like that are all absolutely fine for him to have in his meal as well.
Oh, he does love an olive, though. I know they're high in salt, but he loves olives.
Yeah, they're high in salt. But again, if he just had one or two, then again, and he enjoys it and it's an occasional thing, then again, like I said, you know, that's fine. They're exploring food and they're learning about food as well.
It sounds like I'm a very salty person. I've got
You're a salty
I
chick.
got too much salt.
You are the chef though, you know more about cooking, whereas I don't cook anything.
I do cook a lot, yeah. And salt, does bring out flavors in so many things. Like if you have a tomato and just sprinkle a little bit of salt on it, it's like
Yeah.
10 times nicer. But yeah, I will monitor my salt a bit more, but not freak out about it.
Yeah, not freak out. Yeah.
I'm just like, yeah, avocado, enjoy yourself. Like, we went to Mallorca last week and it was like 10 a.m. caramel ice cream. I was just like, God, Miles, he was having it. And then he wouldn't even eat it, he just wanted the tub and then pick the top off, the little
Yeah,
squishy
yeah.
bits. We just eating 3 of those and leaving it. I was like, you're on all days tomorrow.
Yeah, I think it's like
Yeah.
adults, isn't it? Like you go on all days and you let yourself go a little bit more. I think for me, the main thing, as long as we're brushing their teeth, because Jack has got a mouthful of teeth and he has since he was really young. So we've had to brush his teeth because,
Right,
you think,
man,
especially with
it's
formula
nasty.
in the bottle,
Yes.
didn't want it. And he's got lovely teeth. So I think as long as we're brushing their teeth and not giving them ice cream every day, then it's fine.
It's hard to brush their teeth, especially I
It
feel
is
like Miles'
hard.
age. Miles' age now, I'm just, yeah, they strong, and I
Yeah.
think I've got about 4 different toothbrushes now. Like, which one do you want? The flashing one, the vibrating, like there's all these colour, the baby shark one, minions. Which one are you feeling today? I'll just try
Yeah.
anything.
There are some apps you can do. I know some people have worked with it. You can do like toothbrushing apps as well. That sometimes
Yeah,
work.
there's like songs as well. Oh, I've tried them,
Yeah.
honestly. He just bites in and throws in like,
Jack likes to use mine and he likes to brush his teeth while I'm brushing my teeth. So if like I'm think it's not a time of the day that I would usually brush his teeth, but I'm brushing my own, because I've got Invisalign at the moment, so I brush my teeth like 4 or 5 times a day. And he'll go, teeth, and I go, oh, you want to brush your teeth? So I'll just give him,
yeah.
even if
I
it's
wish Miles was
any
like
time of the
that.
day, just brush your teeth. Yeah,
Yeah.
go on. Because but yeah. Well, anything else you think you can give us tip wise as mothers of toddlers and with a newborn on the way? What can you give us? Give us like your 3 top tips for helping with fuss eaters and just being a mother in general.
I would say with 3 top tips for fussy eaters is to reduce the pressure, because it's what I see a lot of parents do, where it's like just one more bite, just have one more bite, and all of these sort of things at the table, which then just makes mealtime stressful for you, stressful for your child. So I would say try and reduce the pressure as much as you can. If you're going to introduce new foods to your child, don't do it in the evening at dinner time when they're tired. Do it away from meal times. That can work
That's good.
much better as well. And my other top tip would be to play with food and have fun with food as well. So get them involved in the kitchen.
Okay.
Like if you can get them involved in like any kind of baking or helping you with food or anything like that, then that can really help. I mean, we did a Strictly Food challenge with my little girl where each week we picked, I mean, she's a little bit older, she's 7 now. And we picked a different food each week, and then we found a recipe and we made it. And again, sometimes she liked it, sometimes she didn't, but it was all like around. And then at Strictly, we'd watch Strictly and we tried the food, and it was all like really fun. So the more relaxed you can make it, and the more fun you can make it, the better, I think, as well.
Miles loves making cakes, but
yeah, we're not quite to that stage yet. But Jack's got a little bit clingy lately, so I'm having to do a lot of cooking with him on my hip. So I'm kind of letting him touch the ladle or whatever. But obviously, then I'm like, it's quite hot, so we need just like
we got them steps, and honestly, we use them every day. The little steps up on this.
Yeah, they're brilliant.
Island. We use it every day. He pushes it to like wherever he wants to go.
Oh, that's cute.
Honestly, it's so you can just like you can move it across. Yeah, you can just stand by you.
Yeah.
Honestly, I've used it every day. He just ducks under. Now we can get back down. We play.
Yeah, they're really good.
Honestly, like when we're making cakes, he just stands there. Or if I say, "Oh, do you want to make a bottle, or do you want to make do your cereal or something?" He'll stand with me to put it in and just help me like do his. Always make a bottle together and stuff, and he put it in the microwave and press the button.
I think the only thing, like you've got a much bigger house than we have.
That falls down as well.
Does it?
Yeah, that one falls down, but it's paint all over it now because they paint and they climb down.
That's quite cute though.
But it falls down. Therefore, recommend those.
I will get one of them.
So good.
They're really good at the towers. Really, really good. Definitely recommend them.
Really good. Well, thank you, Emma. This has been so lovely. Sorry for the little mishap at the start, guys. We had a little, if you believe it, a sound issue again. So yeah, we really, really appreciate your time. We've taken up way too much of it now. So how can people follow you, find you, and what can you help with, if people are looking for you on the internet?
So you can find me at dietitian.withadifference on Instagram. That's mainly where I hang out. So feel free to DM me or anything. I've also got some free guides as well. So I've got some a shopping list for ideas on nutrients to help with your fussy eater, and also some 5 top tips as well for fussy eaters if you need any of those as well.
We'll tag you when we post this video.
Definitely. Thank you so much for joining the Two Sophies Baby Mamas.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
We will speak to you, and I'm sure people will message you if they got any issues and all that jazz. But yeah, we'll definitely pop your handle on the vid.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much. Speak to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.